What happened to that activist who was tearing down the cross of the Church of St. Michael? This incident occurred near the Oleksandrivska Hospital in Kyiv. It was Easter of 1933. This is how nurse Katarina Renska began her story to me. She had just turned 93 and had worked at the Oleksandrivska Hospital in Kyiv for over 60 years. The hospital's Church of St. Michael I, the Metropolitan of Kyiv, was highly revered by the faithful citizens of Kyiv. Not only because of the miraculous spring located nearby, which had been dug in the 12th century by Archimandrite Stephan, a disciple of Saint Theodosius of the Caves, but also because the left section of the church housed a grand labradorite tomb of the famous Kyiv philanthropist, Mikhail Udetarev. The year was 1992. I met nurse Katarina Renska while I was blessing the hospital. Her relatives were also hospital workers, and she asked me to visit her in the hospital ward and bring her Holy Communion. The ruined church, demolished by the Bolsheviks, had yet to be restored. Only the church's foundation remained on the hill, overgrown with bushes and trees. Beneath it were iron doors leading to a room where fuel barrels were stored. In the hospital ward, I visited the elderly woman, who was still bright and clear-minded, her eyes full of wisdom and life experience. After confession, I told her about my plans to revive the old hospital church and that I had already discussed it with a prominent doctor, Katarina Stepanivna Palamarchik, and the new head physician, Valery Hryhorovich-Bidny. I shared with her that there was already preliminary approval, and the hospital was even willing to allocate a room for prayer in a nearby wooden house, also once a part of the church. Katarina was overjoyed and said, "Father, let me tell you something. I was a witness to how the destruction of St. Michael's Church began. It was led by Komsomol members from the Pechersk district. Back in the 1930s, Katarina continued, I had just graduated from medical school and had become a nurse. The church was still active then, and funerals for the deceased were conducted there. Father Petro would frequently walk through the hospital wards to bring communion to the faithful, upon their or their relatives' request. Not all doctors were atheistic and hostile to the church. Some younger doctors were indifferent, but the older ones were God-fearing and secretly attended church services. On Easter of 1933, many residents from the Pechersk district gathered at the church. People from Baysina, Shavkavikna, and Lutheran streets, as well as on-duty doctors and ambulatory patients from a hospital came. I was on duty that day and hurried early in the morning to our hospital church. People with Easter baskets surrounded the church, waiting for their food to be blessed. Some stood inside the church, while Father Petro sprinkled holy water on the people and their baskets, greeting everyone with, "Christ is risen." And they replied, "Indeed he is risen." Then a truck came roaring down Shavkavikna Street and stopped near the church. In the back stood young people with red ribbons. They were Komsomol members, singing their songs, and they continued even under the church gates. I still remember the lyrics, "Long live the Komsomol, the children of the revolution." Around 20 of them, including girls, jumped out of the truck. Some held crowbars and sledgehammers, while others carried anti-religious banners. They were filled with energy as they climbed the steps of the church, looking disdainfully at the believers. Among them stood out a tall black-haired young man named Yosip, the Komsomol leader of the Pechersk district. Everyone followed his example. Father Petro stood bewildered at the church entrance, holding the cross. The young crowd surrounded him, shouting. The Komsomol leader even grabbed the priest's epitrachelion and pulled him aside. The youth stormed into the church, some even kicking over the Easter baskets. I watched with pain in my heart. No one from the crowd dared to say a word to stop them. After a while, some young men climbed onto the church dome. People watched silently as Yosip climbed higher, driving metal hooks into the dome to reach the cross at the top. Anchored, he began striking the large church cross with a sledgehammer. The cross held firm, but gradually, with every blow, it began to tilt. People murmured quietly, whispering, "Son, what are you doing? God will punish you." Some were even crying. But Yosip, consumed by his mission, kept swinging. His comrades cheered him on. Suddenly, he lost his balance, fell backward onto the dome, and rolled down, trying to grab onto something. Finally, he slipped off and fell onto the church's iron fence, which pierced him. There was a terrible scream. Blood spurted from his mouth. No one moved at first. Everyone stood frozen, even the Komsomol members. Only later did some doctors and orderlies come running to pull Yosip's lifeless body off the fence. No one mourned him. Everyone said it was just an accident. But you could see it in their eyes. They all believed it was divine retribution. If you liked this video, please kindly give the video a thumbs up, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. May the Lord keep you.